parents, sisters, we're just all dyed in the wool. Leeds fans. It's just in the DNA of my family. And my first memories of rugby league matches are pretty scattered. They're just me being sat on the wall at Headingley, just larking about with my cousins and getting burgers and hot chocolate because it was absolutely freezing cold, and having a little pack up that my gran had put together for me, and I got from my granddad and my dad and my uncles and my cousins, and I'd just sit on the wall at Headingley. But that ain't a real good anecdote for 100th episode of Super League Pod, but my first real vivid memory of rugby league, and it'll stay with me for the rest of my life. I'd played about on the wall at Headingley, but then started watching the game a lot more, and my first vivid memory is when Widnes came to town, and I think it must have been 86 or 87, and the emergence of Martin Afire. And I remember he got the ball, and he was just like lightning, and he beat somebody, but then he started doing this goose step. As he used to goose step down the line to clear the cover to get an ankle tap, and literally the entire South started laughing. But, not to make it cheesy, but people weren't laughing for long, and I don't know if he scored 1 or 2 or 3 tries that night, but he was a thorn in the side of Leeds for, the rest of his career, and what a player, and what an astounding athlete to witness his breakthrough in the flesh and watch him just be this try machine. Yeah, to see Martin Afire at Headingley in that Widnes kit flying down that wing was something I'll never forget for the rest of my life. If I could sign one player from the NRL for my club, who would it be? So, asking a question like, if you want one player from the NRL to improve your club, to take your club forward, there's just so much to choose from. If you're after a fullback, you could go for excitement machines like Matt Moylan or James Tedesco, who are young kids but are absolutely outstanding athletes and would be the best players in Super League by a mile. If you wanted a winger, you sign Semi Radradra, he could literally change your club. And you could pick up a centre like James Roberts or Michael Jennings. They're excitement machines, absolute flyers, and will be untouchable in Super League. Or you pick yourself up a halfback, you could go for Daly Cherry Evans, you could get yourself a Mitchell Pearce, you could get yourself one of my favourite players, James Maloney, who's an absolute gun, who could come into Super League and turn it round, or get yourself some awesome front-line prop forward, like maybe a James Graham, or a Sam Burgess, or a Matt Scott, or a Jesse Bromwich, and a host of other forwards. But I think the point I'm making is that I've named all those players who would absolutely rip it up in Super League and be the best player. They're not even the best players in Australia. I didn't mention Darius Boyd, who I don't rate, but he's the Aussie fullback at the minute. Greg Inglis, Jonathan Thurston, Kieran Foran, Sean Johnson, all these players are absolutely head and shoulders above anybody in the world. We still haven't mentioned Cooper Cronk or Cameron Smith, who, any team who would have those players, they'd just be the best player. But, there's one player in the world who's absolutely amazing, and that's Jonathan Thurston. And personally, the second best player I think who will come out of his shadow is his halfback partner, Michael Morgan. Either of those players are absolutely unbelievable. But if I were going to sign anyone for Leeds, Lily is coming on a treat, but he's no Jonathan Thurston, and no player of all time has ever come close to him, in my opinion. It'd have to be Jonathan Thurston. Leeds are playing absolutely terrible at the moment. If we'd have had him from start of season, we'd still be top of the league. It'd have to be Thurston for me. Best player I've ever seen. Absolute champion. Who's the better player, Johns or Lockyer? Look, for me, this one's a no-brainer. It's Joey Johns all day. I think Darren Lockyer had a lot of class, a lot of skill, was a real clutch player and could see out a game, but Joey Johns had something not many players ever will have. And up until the emergence of Jonathan Thurston, I think Joey Johns was the best player to ever play the game. I think Thurston's got more than Johns, and he's playing in a tougher climate. But Joey Johns, for me, hands down better than Lockyer. Kicking game, running game, passing game. And what people don't realise is that Joey Johns is regarded as one of the toughest defenders, pound for pound, ever to play the game. They say he hit harder than anybody else ever did at his size, and his defence was never a question. Lockyer needed a bodyguard for his entire career, and that's why I think is one of the main reasons why Johns gets it. In the NRL, defence is king, and Joey hits as hard as anybody. Great bloke, great player. What would be our Super League team of all time? Now, picking a Super League team of all time is one of the most difficult things you can do because there's been so many awesome players. And it's probably easy to pick players that are more in your mind. You know, for a fullback, you could look at Zach Hardaker. Has been a great player for Leeds, but, you know, has he been consistent enough all round? I'm not quite sure he has yet. And you could pick a Sam Tompkins, absolute awesome ball runner, but Mark, I like my fullbacks to be able to catch and tackle. But I also wanted to pick blokes who are absolute champion guys as well as champion players, and I think Tompkins can be a bit of a petulant prick, and Zach Hardaker's at his discretion. So my full-back of the Super League era has got to be Paul Wellens. What a champion bloke, what a champion player. Has all the defensive attributes of a Zach Hardaker, could pass the ball, never gave up on his team and was an absolute gun. Maybe didn't have the pace of Tompkins, but in his youth, people forget Wellens had genuine natural pace, and he weren't no slouch. For me wingers, I've gone quite obvious. I've gone Leslie Vainikolo. How could you ever leave him out of a Super League team? And I've gone Ryan Hall on the other wing. You know, maybe a little bit in decline now, but still a great player for a long period of time. For me centres, I've gone Keith Senior. Absolute gun. You know, my team might be a little bit Leeds centric, but you know, it's hard to get past Senior. Probably still Super League's best centre and the best import, I think, to Super League of all time in the other centre, which is Jamie Lyon. He didn't stay very long. He was here a couple of years, but what a player, what an absolute sublime talent. Retiring this year, but what an absolute stellar career. Absolute legend of the game. And my halfbacks, look, I toyed with this. I wanted to put Trent Barrett in there, but I had to juggle around my team. Barrett, again, 1 year long, was a great player, but I can't go past Sinfield. Not the quickest, maybe not the best, but as Matt Namara said, you know, the best prepared player of all time. You know, meticulous. His goal kicking can win you the biggest games. He's a clutch player. You know, I think now we're only seeing how he got Leeds round that park for all them years. He was the cornerstone of that team, and his half-back partner, I flipped it around a bit, but scrum half Danny Maguire. Reason why Danny's in there is, you know, he's coming to his own further on in his career as a ball player and as a tactical kicker. But, you know, let's not forget in his prime, he was unstoppable, uncatchable. People couldn't put a finger on him. Super League top try scorer, but couldn't leave him out. And my pack, and I think this is where, you know, if this team were going to ever play another team, this is where it'd get the job done. You know, for me props, I've gone for guys who made a big impact over here, but an even bigger one in the NRL. And I've gone for James Graham and Sam Burgess. You know, what a front row. As kids over here, as young men, they absolutely tore Super League up and went to Australia and have just been out of this world. And for me hooker, it's an hard one. I thought about Jimmy Lowes, I thought about Kieran Cunningham, but I'm going to go modern. I'm going to go James Roby, a dummy half explosive, a tackling machine. And with those two props, you know, would he be, you know, probably more unstoppable than he has been for the best part of his career. And my back row, and I think, personally, for me, this is as good as back row that could ever play the game. And my second rowers, I've gone for what they were in the prime, but they could still do a bit later on in their career. I've gone for Jamie Peacock and Adrian Morley. You know, Moz and JP, what a back row. They'd knock your head off. And remember, in their youth, they were both leggy athletes. They both had some toe in them. They could both run a bit, hit you hard, could both had a bit of ball skill, were quick and solid. And what a back row that is. And to lock the scrum, I think one of the most underrated players of all time on the world stage, even though he won a Golden Boot, but not underrated in Super League, was Andy Farrell. What a legend, what an absolute, you know, leader of men when you hear him talk. An outstanding player in his own right. Played all over the park in the halves. I think he played in the centres when he was younger at Wigan. You know, has played everywhere in the pack, probably apart from Hooker. But, you know, what a team. What a pack that'd be. Yeah. A keynote in my Super League team, only a couple of overseas signings in there, which would be Leslie Vainikolo and Jamie Lyon. The rest are all homegrown lads, which is a testament to the quality athletes that Super League does produce. Lads, I just wanted to do a quick shout out in person instead of one through an email, and just to say how awesome it is that we've got to 100 shows. As fans of the pod, I think I can speak for everybody when I say that we absolutely love what you do, and thank you for everything that you do. It's a lot of time and effort to say you don't get paid for it, and you've both got other commitments, work and family, and it's just the pod is amazing. It's a great breakup, I think, for most of us in our week. Some genuine rugby league chat, obviously people who love the game, talking about the game, and us listening, and you letting us contribute in the way that you do. It's an amazing thing. I've always been a massive fan of podcasts. A rugby league podcast about Super League, it don't get much better. And you guys, you nail it every week, and testament to yourselves. I appreciate everything you do. We're good on you, boys. Cheers.
Well, Rich, thanks for that. That's high praise indeed. If we can return the compliment, Mark and I, whilst we were Mark and I,
you just love Paul Campbell so much.
Love Paul Campbell. Yeah. While we were listening,
go and do a show with Paul.
Can you imagine?
Championship
chatter with Tom and Paul. I don't know if that'd go very well. But whilst we were listening back to that, we were talking about how. Actually, one of the great things about Rich is that we could sit and get pissed up with him and just talk rugby league all night long. That was, that's tremendous. And those are really kind words, Rich. And thank you for your contributions all the way through the podcast as well. They're very much appreciated, aren't they? Yeah, and obviously we keep finding out a lot about our listeners' rugby league heritage. And Paul, Rich used to. So you're doing it now? It's Paul everywhere. Rich used to sit on a wall, didn't he? I didn't know that. I didn't even know that. The Martin Afire stuff, I mean, I don't know if he was there at the time. Martin Afire scored 10 tries in a game against Leeds, but he was right that Martin Afire did torment the Rhino, well, the Leeds side, quite considerably in the pre-Super League era. He certainly did. Right, 2 more to go then. Let's move on to the original king of Facebook then, Scott Lister.
Hi, Mark and Tom. This is Scott Lister from Facebook. Congratulations on reaching your 100th show, and let there be many more. Question 1. How I got into rugby league. All started when I was a kid, when my dad would take me to games, and I just fell in love with the sport. Question 2. Which rugby league player would I get rid of out of my team? Now I do support Leeds Rhinos, so for my player it would be Mitch Earnchurch. I just think we've got too many second rowers and kids coming in to fit that position. Now, question 3. I could talk about this question forever, so I'll try and keep it short. How would you get the BBC and the national newspapers to take note of our sport? We need to get bigger crowds. This will get noticed from all media. RFL need to have better planning with fixtures, including internationals. Clubs should look to work with players to put them on TV shows such as Graham Norton, Celebrity Juice, League of Their Own. There's many more out there. If we put players on these shows and get them talk about the sport and tell them where they can come and watch their next game, this will bring up much more fans to the grounds and clubs, and then once you're there, as we all know, it's a fantastic day out.
Okay, Magic Scott, that's really good. Mark pointed out that your point to do with increasing the prevalence of rugby league was particularly a good one, which I noticed echoes something you said, Mark. So perhaps I think that was spot on. I think that was a really great answer. Right. I also, the first time I listened to it, I thought, right, Scott's just saying it slow so everyone hears everything, but just listening at that time, I reckon he's got horse racing on in the background, and he's got a winner coming in.
He's got one eye on the bookies.
He's getting a bit, oh shit, I need to get this done now to get watching these horses. It was terrific, and Scott was our original Facebook, he was king of Facebook, wasn't he? Yeah, definitely. So, he reigns supreme and forever will hold the Facebooker of the Year award title. There can be only one king. Definitely, and he still is the first to like and share. I mean, there's a few more on board now with Facebook. It's picking up a little bit more momentum, but Scott is the champion. I mean, let's not knock people like Elliot Wrench and Paul O'Brien, Mark Selby. The thing is now we've got so many people, haven't we? And that's the thing. But Scott reigns supreme. Before them all, there was Scott Lister. There you go. Fantastic. Right, final Ask S. He might have been the first person to like us on Facebook that wasn't related to us or went to school with either of us. Yeah, which puts you in the top 30 or 40, doesn't it? So, well done. Yeah, okay, so the final Ask SLP listeners then. Let's hear what Tim Griffith had to say.
Hello, it's Tim G Radio here. Happy 100th episode to the Super League pod. This is your telegram from the Queen. You asked me a few questions, so here we go. What are my thoughts on what I think is the best way forward for the game in developing areas? Well, I definitely think it's about having as big a playing base as possible, so getting people in early, so through schools and youth